All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a book report today. All right. So we're going to take what we've learned from our book report, and we're going to use one of the stories that we've read here. And so let me show you what it'll look like. And then we're going to use the checklist on page 183 in our books to do our book report. All right. So here's what it's going to look like. Sorry, just a second. Okay, here we go. All right, so we're gonna write.
What page, mister?
Our book report.
Mister, we need a copy that on our notebooks.
I want you guys just to watch me right now, okay? Because you're gonna do this as well. And so, as we look at our checklist right here, we have. Do I have all the information about the book? So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use the book called. The story is called Scout for George Washington. Okay, Scout for George Washington. All right. And so, who is the author? So I'm gonna write the author next to this person. It is Ivy Bolton. All right. Now that I have that, I have the type of book.
Write that, mister.
The type of book it is. And so it's right here is a, no, don't write it. Just pay attention for right now, okay?
Okay.
So, the type of book it is a, this did something, I have no idea what I did. All right, this is a short story. This is a short story. It is the number of pages. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 pages. And then the setting is in, I'm sorry, I don't think it says. So I'll say December near the Delaware River. So where exactly is it at, all right? So we have the title and author. All right. So we have to have the title and the author. We have the type of story. Number of pages.
9.
And then the setting. All right, very good. All right, to help me with this, what I'm going to do is go back and see the summary of the plot, all right? So what happened in this story, all right? So I'm gonna do the summary right here. And so it's not gonna be very long. So I'll put, boys were beating up Tony, all right? Tony gets rescued by George Washington. What's that? 1 second. They go back to the Army's camp. All right. They bring Tony's father. To and father go to or start to go to Trenton. Father, I don't know why it went to capital. Tells Tony to run back to George Washington. Tell him what's happening. All right. Do you see how the story is unfolding, but little bit by little bit? I want you to make sure you're paying attention and not getting distracted.
That will not copyright, mister, right
Yeah,
now.
you don't want to copy this. I'm just giving you guys an example, all right?
Okay.
All right, after this, Tony cheers the boys that beat him up on the bridge. He runs and crosses the river. Talks with tells George Washington what happens. All right. All right. So then the army goes to fight. And they capture Trenton. His dad was working for George Washington, and they celebrate. All right, here's a quick little summary of what happened in that story. All right. So in the book, it says to not use a bunch. Okay. You use maybe 7 to 10. So how many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. We have just enough. And then after that, we have our character. sketch. All right. All right. So in the character sketch, it says we write 7 to 10 sentences about the main character in your book. Tell the characteristics of the person. Is he lazy, kind, greedy, neat, generous, brave, clever? Tell what he does and how the other characters feel about him. All right. So I can say that Tony, talk about the main character, Tony. He is lonely because he's getting beat up by those other guys. Say he's brave. I'll explain why. He's lonely because he is getting beat up by the other boys. I would say that he's a word is conflicted because his dad is working for the Hessians and the Americans don't like them. So he's conflicted because his dad is working for the Hessians because the Americans don't like the Hessians because they're in a war right now. I'd say that he is a brave because he doesn't let himself getting beat up change him. I would say he's strong. Say he's strong. Say he's brave because he had to cross the frozen river. Even though the ice was breaking. All right. And then I would say he is committed. So loving and supporting his father. Even though, you know, he was getting beat up because they thought that his father was a traitor. He was betraying him. You guys remember this story?
Yes.
Not too much.
That's the summary of the story in the character sketch. After that, we have our recommendation. And so I would say why I recommend it. I recommend this book because it shows you how to be brave in tough situations. It teaches you to stay strong and to do what you have to do. It is an enjoyable book that I feel everyone would like. All right, so that's my recommendation.
We do that.
All right, now that's for my book. This is my story. You guys can't pick this story. I'm sorry, you can't pick Scout for George Washington. Turn on your cameras. You guys can't pick Scout for George Washington because I've done it, and I don't want you to copy what I have, all right? Okay, so now that I have this basic setup, I'm also gonna look at the example that they gave us, all right? On page 180.
Mister, we need a copy while you right there.
No, you're not listening. You're not paying attention. This is a guide. I'm gonna send you a guide on how to write your book report because you guys are gonna choose a story from the book that you guys have and you're gonna do this, all right? So after you have, so this is everything. You need the title and the author, A Scout for George Washington by Ivy Bolton. Type of story, it's a short story. All of these are short stories, but the number of pages and the setting. So it took place in December near the Delaware River. Summary, what happened? Boys were beating up Tony. Tony gets rescued by George Washington. They go back to the Army's camp. They bring Tony's father. Tony's father starts to go to Trenton. They bring Tony's father because they think he's a traitor. His father tells Tony to run back to George Washington and tell him what's happening. Tony hears the boys that beat him up on the bridge. He runs down and crosses the river. He tells George Washington what happens. The army goes to fight and they capture Trenton. Tony realizes his dad was working for George Washington and they celebrate. That's the story, very fast. Instead of taking an hour to read it, we just read it like that. We have our character sketch, which is our main character, which is Tony, or you can choose another character. I would choose the main character. And this is everything. I'm describing him, all right? So once I have this, and then I'll have my recommendation, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to work my book report. And so I will write this. We will start with indentation. I would say, Scout for George Washington was written by Ivy Bolton. This short story takes place in December near the Delaware River. It has 9 pages. All right, so I did that first part. Do you see all that right there? It's just this first part right here. So now that we have this done, we can start writing, actually writing our book report. So, no, not here, here. So I'll start off with another indentation. So I say, Scout for George Washington is about a boy named Tony. Tony is getting beat up because they think his father is a traitor. Tony gets rescued by George Washington and he takes him back to the Army's camp. All right, do you see how I'm starting to take all these notes that I wrote up here? Oops. You see it?
Yes.
All right, and so I'm just gonna start writing my paragraph down here. So after that, take it to the Army's camp, and then I can just cross off what I've done. While they were at the camp, the soldiers bring Tony's father because they think he is a traitor. George Washington sends his father and Tony to go on. He releases them. When they get to Trenton, they, so I'm sorry, Tony's father. Tony's father releases him to go tell George Washington what the Hessians are doing. As Tony is running back, he hears the boys that beat him up on the bridge. He decides to go down and cross the frozen river. It was dangerous because the ice was breaking. He finally crosses and tells George Washington what is happening in Trenton. George and the army go capture Trenton. They realize that, Tony then realizes that his dad was working for George, so they all celebrate the victory. All right, that's my book report on George Washington. I'm sorry, on the story, on the summary. Now I'm going to do the character sketch. So I would say the main character, Tony, is a brave, loyal boy. Even though he gets beat up by the boys, he stays strong. He shows his bravery by crossing the frozen river. Even though it was dangerous. He shows his loyalty, or he is loyal, by staying with his father, even though they think his father is a traitor. All right, so I'm just taking the stuff that I have up here. And so I'm gonna say he's strong. He doesn't let him getting beat up change him. He still loves and supports his father. All right, now that I have that, that's just the character sketch. So I have the book. Do a couple of mistakes. All right. And then now I have the recommendation where I can just take this recommendation because I already wrote it out. And I'll put it down here. All right. And then my last thing I'll say is I have read the entire book. And then I will put my name. All right, no John. All right, that's it. That's the book report. I did that in less than 30 minutes. All right. So here's what you're gonna do. Everyone has to do. You're gonna take your title and author, all that stuff, and you're gonna make a paragraph like this down here. All right. Then you're gonna do a summary. Okay. Don't use every detail. You don't want to say the entire quote line from line. You want to put it in your own words. You can't copy what's being written there. You have to put it in your own words and just explain what's happening. All right. Say what's going on. And see, it should be a fairly decent sized, okay? Maybe 7 to 10 sentences. After that, with your character sketch, describe what the character is like. He said he's lonely because he's getting beat up by the other boys. He's conflicted because his dad is working for the Hessians and the Americans don't like them because they're in the war, right? So I'm just gonna take all these things and I'm gonna use them to help me write a paragraph, all right? Then my recommendation of why I recommend the book or why I would not recommend the book. If you didn't like it, if you didn't think it was good, don't recommend it. And at the end, it says, I've read the entire book, John Lennon, Mr. Nana. Okay? That's it. That make sense?
We need to do it in English, right?
Yes, you have to do it in English.
Mr. of the children, that you say that.
Many. That's a lot.
Mister.
Yes?
You
We
will
didn't do all that.
Yes, you have to do all of this. This is your assignment. We don't have class tomorrow, so you have more than enough time to do this.
Mr.
Yeah?
We finished the class.
Not yet.
Okay.
And so use the checklist on page 183 and then use the examples on page 180 and 81.
One listen. I don't listen.
Use your checklist on page 183 and then use the example on page 180 and 181 for you to write this. You can also use this as an example on how to do it. This is worth 10 points. Okay?
Mister,
Yes, Monse.
can you send the pictures of all of that?
Yeah, I will send the pictures.
Okay. So I can know book report, summary, chapter, sketch.
But we not can copy the same something of you, right?
No.
No, you can't do this story.
Mister, we can find it in
You have to do it in
the book.
Yeah, you pick one of the stories from this book, all right? And then you start your thing, okay?
Yeah, Mister, because I just only